through education. We have educated our people, spending approximately 20% of our annual budget on education, from pre-primary to tertiary. And all of this is said to be free. Of course, taxpayers pay for it. Or as we often jokingly say in my country, we provide education from the cradle to the grave. And we have been rewarded 100-fold by leadership and self-sacrifice, especially in times of crisis, and the consequential development of the country that has taken place as a result. In these circumstances, many of our leaders have emerged, and therein lies the value of education. It develops people, and when people develop, countries develop and advance. What more compelling reason can there be for us to invest in education? But ladies and gentlemen, I will not stand here and pretend that for all of us, the pursuit of education has been easy. Many of you will have come from backgrounds in which your parents and their parents had the ability, but did not have the opportunity to attain higher education. They could not because often they were financially unable, but also it was felt that they did not need it. To achieve higher education, many of them had to fight the scourge of physical slavery, mental enslavement, and the perception that they were not educable. In such circumstances, inequities abounded, poverty reigned, and many social ills were perpetuated. But as far back as 1865, the Colored People's Convention of the state of South Carolina recognized, and I quote, that an educated people can neither be held in nor reduced to slavery. And therefore, many persons fought relentlessly to ensure that education could become available to the most impoverished, the most vulnerable, and those whose future could only be advanced through the liberation of the mind that comes with education. You owe the fact that you can proudly walk across this stage and receive your degrees today to them, and many others like them, and the fact that they recognize the value of education as a liberating and transforming force. Ladies and gentlemen, in free democratic societies like the United States of America and Barbados, there is now the recognition that the struggles and the deprivation of the underprivileged can be substantially diminished by the transformative intervention of education. Indeed, the history of education in this great nation reveals mammoth advancements, despite significant struggles by minorities and the disadvantaged. From its early days as a nation, when education was characterized by gender, class, and race discrimination, to the creation of the statewide common school systems in the 1840s, to the civil rights struggles of the 60s and 70s, to the No Child Left Behind mandate of this century, of the past century, indeed in this country has played a pivotal role not only in the advancement of individuals, but also in the advancement of specific groups of people, and ultimately in the advancement of this nation. In fact, a monumental achievement in this country's history was reached with the realization that education is not only for the privileged and the entitled, but since a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, if America as a nation is to further its national goals and fulfill its role as the greatest nation in the world, then education has to be attainable for every one of its citizens. This realization, coupled with the struggles of all those persons who have fought on behalf of minorities and the disadvantaged, and who are now remembered and recognized for their unrelenting efforts, has paved the way for this country to be populated with persons who have risen from humble beginnings and unfavorable circumstances to the highest pinnacles of achievement. The 44th President of the United States of America, President Barack Hussein Obama, is a shining example of this reality. However, it must be noted that this is not the provision of education